In case you didn't catch last month's Qtalk, here's what you missed.
Very excited.
Yes,
You
very
know, our
excited.
show tonight, the topic is heroes. And we've happened to find quite a few. This next guest, who's our expert, if you will, hails from Brooklyn. He was with the NYPD, New York, Jesus Christ, the New York firefighter for 22 years. And we're so excited to have Tom Ryan here. Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Ryan. Okay. And he's a hunk. Isn't that great?
That was good.
Yeah, hot heroes. That's our
Hot
subject.
heroes.
Hot
I love
heroes.
it.
Wow, NYPD. Where'd that come from? Hello.
I don't know.
Hello. Help. Yes.
So, Tom, tell us, what made you want to be a fireman?
Well, it just presented itself to me. My father had been one.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the family. I was dragged off to take the test one day. And,
Dragged?
Well, not in drag, but dragged. And I took the test. Then I went into the Army, and when I got out, they called me.
Wow.
A couple years later, so.
But you weren't out at that time, though.
No, I was deep in the closet.
Deep in the closet.
Deep in the closet.
Oh.
Now, how long were you in the Army?
3 years.
Wow. And came right out and did the firefighter.
Yeah, about 2 years later, I became a firefighter.
So how long were you a firefighter before you actually came out?
I got on the job in 1982, and I came out in 98.
Wow. So what, 16 years?
15, 16 years, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And you are the first. You were the first
Well, there's probably many before me, but
to come out.
I became the first to march in uniform openly.
Openly, yeah. Well, I mean, the interesting part about that is 16 years is a long time to go to work. And by the way, you were married also.
I was married. I was deep in the closet.
So, and children
that's right,
and the whole 9
married.
yards.
Yeah.
So it must have been, how did your brother firefighters react to you when you came out? Because you came out to your brother firefighters plus your chiefs and everybody else, right?
Yeah, I came out on the news.
On the
I did. I was marching in.
Go big or go home.
No, I stole some Splendor, and then. No. No.
Film at 11.
I was marching in the Gay Pride Parade and had an FDNY shirt on. And I saw a reporter about 2 blocks away, and I just knew she was going to come up to me.
Right.
I was the one. And I had 2 blocks to decide whether it was the time or not. And I thought it was the time. So I came out.
Well,
That's amazing.
I came out at 5, 6, and 11.
And how did your house?
It was weird.
Yeah.
I had friends, good friends, I thought, that literally just turned their backs on me.
Wow.
Just, it was like I didn't exist.
Wow.
So
Wow.
It was a really weird experience.
Okay, so now you were in Chelsea. That's where your
That's where
ladder
I
company
ended
was.
up. When I came out, I was still assigned. I was assigned to a house up in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came
Ooh,
out,
tough neighborhood, baby.
yeah, it was. And I had decided that if I was going to be an out gay firefighter and the only one, that I would come and work in a gay community.
Hey, and Chelsea is one.
Yeah.
So,
Where were you on 9/11?
I was home.
Yeah?
I was home, and like most of us that day, it's a beautiful day. And I had the computer on, and somebody sent me an instant message saying, plane just hit the Trade Center. So I put the TV on right away, and you know, they were first saying it was a Piper Cub, and I'm looking at the building going, that's not a Piper Cub.
Yeah.
So called my partner who was working in California for a meeting, and told him this is really strange. It's just bizarre. This plane just flew into the Trade Center.
Wow. What? I mean, I can't even imagine. I wasn't in the States, actually. I was stuck overseas. but I can't even imagine rushing. Everybody's running this way, and you're running into that site.
Yeah, like I said before, it was crazy, but it's just you have that instinct in you that you just do it. You just.
That's what I was going to ask you, Tom, because you being one of the first responders, it wasn't necessarily that this house went and this house went and this house went. It seemed to me like every firefighter or paramedic or police went to.
Right. Right. I
the
mean,
train.
you knew. I mean, I was watching TV when the second plane hit, and I knew we were under attack, and I knew I had to get down there. I knew that, you know, as everyone watching the TV that day said that, you know, those buildings hold 100,000 people. Not that many, but, you know.
A hell of a lot. Yes,
Tens of
exactly.
thousands of people work in that building, and you just had to get there.
Right.
Just, you know.
But you know what? I have to commend you because I don't know. Unbelievable bravery to be running into that type of situation and really helping our fellow New Yorkers and whoever else was in town to help them get out of that situation, and for those who had.
Right.
So here's my question, right? So you were the first out firefighter. How many firefighters do you know that were on that site that were gay, but nobody really knew it?
Oh, there was a lot.
Really?
There was a lot. I mean, as it turned out, as we went along after 9/11, there was 5 other guys in my firehouse.
Really?
At the
And
time.
okay, question: did they come out after?
They did not.
Really?
They did not. One guy in particular was in the buildings when they came down and survived that. And I'm thinking that if I was in that building, I wouldn't be afraid of anything ever again.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was still that powerful that he wouldn't come out.
Did they ever approach you, or did you feel the need to ever approach them to
They,
comfort
they
and
did.
say?
I was known. I was
Right.
the one.
Right.
So people would come to me and confide in me and talk, and you know, I've held that confidence to this day. So
That's a really huge burden. Do you see it even after everything that's happened with September 11th? And honestly, I had no idea how many, LGBT heroes we had for September 11th until I started doing research, because you heard about Mark Bingham and you heard about Father Michael. Those are really the only 2 you ever really heard about.
Right.
There was no media around anybody else.
no, and it's still not. I mean, to me, this year especially, that there's, with the exception of you 2 lovely people and several other groups, there's been nothing in the mainstream media about, even there's a bit of whitewashing or talking about Michael Judge, Father Michael, that,
Yeah.
that little fact is left out on a lot of stories about him.
And that's the great part about it, though, is a lot of the media that I've heard or I've seen about either Mark Bingham or Father Michael is they've really been sure, especially with Father Michael, somewhere along in the gay media saying that he was LGBT.
Right, but the mainstream media is skipping that.
Absolutely.
Why do you think that? What? I mean, what?
Because I think they, it's done purposely to, exclude that fact from, who he was. And
The
that's,
hero can't be.
yeah, that people have that misconception that, even in the gay community, that people don't think that firefighters and police officers are gay.
But they hope.
But exactly,
They hope.
because you got to tell you, that's part of a whole fantasy thing going on there. I got to tell you.
Absolutely. Where's that seal? Just kidding, Joe.
I love it. So this whole thing, even the families and the partners of the firefighters, because how many firefighters, or do you know how many firefighters that were LGBT that lost their lives in 9/11?
It was made known to me that there was about somewhere between 20 and 25.
But you're the only person that I've ever heard that from.
Right.
Which is,
You are the only person.
Yeah.
Even doing research for the show,
yeah.
you can't find the numbers. You can't
No,
find
you
the
can't, because
statistics. They're not out there.
No, they don't.
So what did the partners and the families of the LGBT firemen, what did they do? Did they come forward? Did they get help?
No, I think they suffered in silence.
That just breaks my heart.
It does. It's a very sad fact that you know, even people who maybe didn't know about their son or daughter or whoever, when you go through everybody's personal things, when you're gone, you find out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
So a lot of the married firefighters and their spouses and those that gave their lives for us on that day, they got federal help.
Right.
They everybody and their mother was collecting funds for them to help them out and raise their children and all that. Was there anything done for the LGBT partners?
There was, for, I know that there were partners, not so much the firefighters as people working in the buildings, their partners actually did end up getting money from the federal government. But it's a huge problem because, as everyone in the room knows, we have marriage in New York now, but we still don't have the rights.
Right.
Right. There's because we still have DOMA.
Because a lot of that help was federal, right? It wasn't it wasn't New York. It wasn't at the state level. It was at the federal level.
Right.
So even if it had been, marriage in New York had been passed at that time, nobody knows what would have really happened.
Exactly. And for everybody that questions whether or not you should have marriage versus domestic partnership, the people who were in domestic partnerships that day that lost their partners in heterosexual domestic partnerships, they had to go in. There was about 22 women that lost their firefighters or police officer spouses, and they literally had to go into meetings and with pictures and recorded stuff saying that this was my partner, this is what we did, this is how we shared our life. And the women who were pregnant, they were in domestic partnerships, they had to have DNA tests to prove the child was the father.
See, now...
I don't
Where if you were married, it was just a matter of course that's his child.
And they were domestic partners that were registered, right?
Yeah.
See?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
now that's all that
Absolutely.
settles it, right?
Absolutely. And they had to fight to get the federal money. They had every step of the way you had to fight. So just imagine the person who you share your life with. How do you prove to somebody else that you spent your life with that person? Even if it was a year or 2 years, 20 years, you have to go in there with pictures and say, this is us in Aruba, this is us fighting in the supermarket, this is us,
This is when I threw all that stuff out the window. Yeah. Tom, when we were deciding on this show, one of the articles I read that just infuriated me, which is along these lines as well, is that a lot of the first responders now, and I know a lot of you are familiar with this, are either been diagnosed with cancer or have passed from cancer, and the fund or insurance is denying them coverage.
Right.
They're saying that they didn't get the cancer from working
Right.
in the trade center.
They just passed a bill that was called the Zagrota bill. It's named after a police officer who did die from cancer, and it was shown that he got it from working down there. But as many things in this country go today, it was a lot of politics played.
Right.
And they, instead of putting cancer coverage in there and post-traumatic stress coverage, they don't cover that.
Yeah.
Everybody
They
that was
don't
down
cover
there has that.
post-traumatic. And you worked at the site for 4 months, 5 months?
I had been there up to a year, almost to the point when I retired, on and off. I worked the first week and a half, almost 24 hours a day. But then, because I was a senior guy at the time, they wanted me in the firehouse.
So, you've been with your partner 18 years, right?
Yes.
So first of all, you running to the site. He wasn't in New York.
No, he was in California at a meeting.
Did you text him? Did he know that you went to the site?
I had called him that morning, woke him up, told him that we were, we're there, what was happening, and then I basically called him and said goodbye.
Yeah, we were going crazy, not knowing what my brother-in-law or what he was
Right.
doing. And your partner's name is?
Scott.
Where's Scott?
He's
You
hiding in
but
the corner.
yeah, you must have been losing your mind. It's crazy. I mean, but that's what relationships and that's what, partners are all
Right.
about, and not
And
having
took-
that recognized.
It took 36 hours to get word to him that I wasn't dead.
That's insane. So, I mean, I can't even speak the words as to why things are not different today, right?
Right.
So the other piece is that all of the celebrations and everything else that are going tomorrow and at the memorial,
Right.
you
Sorry.
you guys know, it's okay. Believe me. You guys, you can't be there.
No, we weren't invited. We weren't invited to the memorial services tomorrow. There wasn't enough room for us.
So, which to me is honestly, that's a
It's
disgrace.
just shocking, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It is.
It's,
Because
you can't
You
even.
can
I don't
have
even
all the
have
politicians
words.
there, and then
Yeah.
the
See,
people who were there that day aren't invited.
I have great respect for the Navy and the Army and everything, and our guys that are fighting for our freedom and everything. But guess what? You guys were our Army and our Navy and our saviors that day, and for quite a few months later. So you deserve.
Well, to put it in perspective, it'd be like having the Veterans Day parade and telling all
Exactly.
the members of the military that they're not allowed to come.
Exactly. It's very
it's like,
true.
Who's the parade for?
It's very
You know?
true.
Right.
So
And I mean, there's a lot of.
And Tom Scott brought up a point when we were talking about what we were going to cover in the interview, in that if I was a family member that was at the memorial or the unveiling tomorrow, I would love to meet you. Do you know? I mean,
Right.
so, wouldn't you want the men there? Okay, so we're going to give you information at the end of the show, and also on our website about how we can make a difference. But I wanted to ask you about this because you said you just retired after 22 years.
no, I'm. As
Oh,
I will
hey,
tell you,
hey.
I'm retired for quite a while. I retired in '03. Yeah, it just it got too hard to work anymore, so it was time to stop.
Did you notice a lot of the firefighters?
Leaving? Yes.
They did, didn't they?
Yeah, in droves. It was just,
Too much.
as the world changed, the job had changed so badly. The pressure of everything you were doing, it was just, and you have to be focused to be able to do the job. And it was time to go. So.
Well, I'm sure the stress of actually being on that site just changed everything.
Oh, absolutely. It just, it changed my entire life. I mean, for many people, it's before 9/11 and after 9/11.
Right.
So,
Which that's a lot of what has been said. It's like everybody kind of gauges their lives pre and post, right? There are very
Right.
few life marks or landmarks that you can really think about that is so prevalent in the mind.
It was, it was an attack on all of us. We all, especially in this area, we know what we lost. We know what was there. We know, the loved ones.
So tell us, what can we do as a community and the people that are here, whether gay, straight, whatever it is, to help the firefighters, especially, which I think the LGBT firefighters that have been kind of not noticed and not at all around 9/11 and the health issues.
I think you can send us Splenda.
Listen, I got some.
Thank you, Tom.
I got some Splenda right here in my purse.
I think that everybody needs to be involved when you hear about these bills and you think it's not affecting you, and it's great that we have marriage in New York, but we need those rights to come with it. We need to
The
do
federal
away with
level,
DOMA.
yeah.
We need to when these bills come up and you hear politicians talking about, well, they're just they just want to get money out of this, and it's that's not what it's about. It's about I went in there full-hearted, and it's a fact that one day it's going to affect me. I want to know that I'll be taken care of and my family will be taken care of.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. So you can catch up with us and get all the links on our Facebook page, which if you do a find on Qtalk on Facebook, you will find us. Also, our website, www.qtalk.tv. Yes. And you can also find us on Twitter, Qtalk TV. So make sure you come out there. And best of all, you guys keep on Qtalk!